So what do you think this is about? Anyway, back on the Basic as Football. It's a new podcast we're starting up. Basic AF, as the kids say, and we're obviously very young.
So young.
So I do a lot of podcasts. I'm Brandon Marcello. I'm a sports reporter covering college football. It's my wife, Amanda. I'm going to speak for her because that's the man thing to do, right? And so anyway, I'm a college football reporter. I do a lot of podcasts and stuff, and I get sick of hearing my own voice. I also get sick of it's the same, like experts. We just go back and forth with stuff, and it's just tiring. And I like talking football sometimes with my wife, but we don't talk about my work very often. So I figured we just sit down and
talk about work.
Isn't that exciting?
Great idea.
But anyway, having Amanda here will be fun. So anyway, that's it. We're just going to talk football. I'm going to try and figure out what my wife knows about college football.
More
and what
than
a
you
perfect
think.
time to launch a podcast and right at the end of the college football season.
I love it.
Okay.
Full send. Let's go.
Full send. And make sure to hold the microphone up to your face, sweetheart.
Okay. Hey.
And don't bend over into it like a newbie. I'm talking into a podcast microphone.
This is my first podcast.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah. What do you want to talk about? All right. So the playoff semifinals are getting underway this week. But first off, we got two.
Hey, don't look at my notes. Don't cheat.
Well, okay. What? So, have you watched any bowl games? What was your favorite bowl game so far this season?
The ones where they played good football.
Okay. What about the Pop-Tarts Bowl, where they sacrificed a live Pop-Tart?
Actually,
toaster oven?
I didn't watch the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
About the Mayo Bowl?
I watched where they poured mayo on that guy. And what did I say about Duke's mayonnaise? It is the supreme mayonnaise.
It's the supreme mayonnaise.
That's right.
Yeah, that won't get you in trouble. Okay, so anyway, the semifinals start this week, Thursday and Friday. Amanda, do you know why they play the games for the semifinals on Thursday and Friday instead of the weekend?
I do not.
Because the NFL wildcard playoffs start, and they want to avoid the NFL playing on Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's all about
that makes sense.
Ratings, folks. And that's where the money's
at.
So Thursday night, first off, is going to be the Orange Bowl, which is going to involve the two teams that one of the teams I covered earlier this year, obviously, with the quarterfinal game in the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame and Penn State. I think it's the most evenly matched semifinal game of the two. What are your quick thoughts on that?
I would, based on the spread, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Also, the series is tied 9-1.
Whoa! I didn't even know that.
Somebody said that on the internet. So we're going to go with
true. Then
we're going to go. I think it was actually a CBS.
By the way, cite your sources.
Yeah, okay.
Here.
Well,
I'm a reporter here.
Okay.
And then on Friday, of course, we're going to have the Cotton Bowl, which, by the way, Ohio State, Texas. Snow in the forecast heading into that game, kind of iffy, but earlier this week, the Cotton Bowl officials said, hey, we're going to play the game. The forecast is improving here. We're not expecting ice, which is what Dallas does not need because it's terrible getting around there anyway, but they feel like they're going to be able to manage it. What are your thoughts quickly on Texas, Ohio State?
Well, horns down, Texas. Sorry.
Yeah, we live in Arkansas, so she's...
And I'm probably the only person who still cares about that, honestly.
Probably.
But it's the way I was raised. You know, I just can't help it. But also not a big Ohio State fan, and we'll get to that later.
Ooh, okay. Wow.
We'll get to that later.
Drama, I guess. Hey, I wanted to hit on this here real quick, going back to the Orange Bowl. Incredible history here on the line for this game because the coaches there, Marcus Freeman for Notre Dame and James Franklin for Penn State, no matter the winner, obviously, here, we're going to have our first black head coach coaching for a national title.
Amazing.
I can't believe that's never happened. In fact,
never have even coached?
Not even coached in a national championship game as a head coach. And the last time I think in major football we've seen that was the 2007 Super Bowl. And so it's been a very long time. So we're going to see some history here. Also, these semifinals are so interesting to me because all these coaches that are involved, there's been questions about them either this year recently or even the last few years about they never win the big game. They never win big games. But one of these guys are finally going to win a big game.
Right.
So it's just incredible storylines going to these semifinals. We'll talk much more about that here later as I get to test your knowledge. But I wanted to kind of help you prepare because I know you're going to be
so kind,
so addicted to the screen watching these games. And we're going to go into how these college football playoff semifinal teams were built. I read an interesting piece by a friend, Zach Barnett, for Football Scoop, who pulled some numbers actually from 24/7 Sports, the recruiting rankings and everything about how these teams were built. So he just looked at the top 100 players among the four teams as far as just snap count, guys they rely on, not necessarily the highest rated, but the guys they rely on. And he had some very interesting things he brought up here. I'm going to put some of this on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. 85 of the top 100 players, according to snap counts to him, were teams or players that signed with their team out of high school. And in this era, I mean, the transfer portal, so crucial to building teams nowadays. That was a mind-boggling stat to me. I don't know how much you know about the transfer portal. You just know that I bitch about it a lot.
Yeah.
But pretty much teams are now allowed to go after players during 2 recruiting windows during the year.
I had that written down.
And it's free reign. Like kids can leave whenever they want to during that transfer portal without having to worry about sitting out a year like they used to,
right,
with red shirt rules. So, I mean, heck, if you're the starting quarterback for Notre Dame this year, like Riley Leonard, you could go into the portal or whatever after the national championship game if you make it.
And he came from
Duke. Yeah, you got
had that written down as well. Hey,
look at you.
I'm doing homework.
Yeah. So the portal is very important, but for these teams, not necessarily. But what's interesting to me is we look at these games. It's pretty much even as far as just recruits, and then also with the transfer portal, as I mentioned, 42 of the top 50 players in the Cotton Bowl were high school recruits that signed and stayed with their teams. And then over in the Orange Bowl, it's 43 of 50 top players. So very even considerations there. And also when you look at these teams, and we'll talk about it later, the X's and O's, it's amazing how similar both teams are just statistically, especially defensively. And it just kind of shows you that in a world where we kind of always think that emotions and what happens on a game day, you never know what's going to happen. Like the numbers almost always bore out and prove themselves out. But what's incredible to me is despite like the lack of like quote unquote big transfers, is that there are still some like really big key guys. In fact, at the Sugar Bowl I was covering, sweetheart.
Yes, dear.
All the players who scored for Notre Dame, extra points, field goals, touchdowns, were transfers. So despite them being heavily high school guys, it was all transfers who scored for them, responsible for touchdowns. Riley Leonard, as he mentioned, a quarterback from Duke. Bo Collins, receiver, transferred from Clemson. Hasn't necessarily had a big year, only had 3 touchdown catches, but he had one in that game, really big one across the middle. The kick returner was a guy from Marshall who was a terror for teams returning kicks. He transferred to Notre Dame, had been waiting to return one all year, and he finally got to return one and then scored a touchdown on that. And of course, their kicker as well, a transfer. So incredible. Notre Dame built itself off of high school recruits everywhere else, but like the players who end up scoring, the guys that leaned on were new guys, transfers.
So it works. We have a verdict, folks.
Okay, great. Awesome. So, you're looking across the screen here at some key guys that really come across. I mentioned the ones for Notre Dame. Ohio State, as you guys know, richest roster in football, potentially. Maybe Oregon challenges them. About $20 million they're paying their players. It's a lot of money.
Wow.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Because my paycheck. So Ohio State has quarterback, Will Howard, as you all know, transfer from Kansas State.
Have that.
He's been up and down this season, but man, he's tearing it up in the playoffs. I think 2 of his like 3 or top 4 or 5 games of his career have come in the playoffs so far. He's like really clicking. And finally, because I think Chip Kelly and co are deciding to throw the ball down the field to guys like Jeremiah Smith, who's a freshman phenom at receiver. Quinshon Judkins, the running back, transfer from Ole Miss, as everybody knows, the big guys. Look over at Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Quinn Ewers, of course, believe it or not, you can't even remember this. He was a transfer from Ohio State. Long time ago.
Yeah. He played 1 game.
Yeah, a couple of hairstyle changes ago. Did he play? I don't think he actually played. I think he transferred back before he even started fall classes.
I thought I saw where he played 1 game.
Where'd you get that? Where's your source?
I don't know. I didn't know that sources were required on this podcast.
Oh, sources are required. Receiver Matthew Golden. He's a transfer as well. 900 plus yards this season. Not necessarily a game breaker.
Would you say he's the golden boy?
He was in the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
He was big for them in the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
Gigantic for them in the Fiesta Bowl. So big time guys coming through the transfer portal, despite all these teams really being built through high school recruiting. And by the way, a lot of these guys, high school recruits who stayed there that are playing in the trenches, the offensive and defensive lines. You know what the trenches are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the secondary?
It's on the defense.
Where?
Behind the line.
The secondary?
Like cornerbacks and safeties and stuff, right?
Okay, yeah. So
hey, listen, I don't know a lot, but I know enough to get by. Okay.
That's why I love you.
Jeez. Give me some credit here.
Love to get by. So this all goes into my next point here. At 24/7 Sports, our buddy Bud Elliott, who's on the Cover 3 podcast. You guys have probably seen him before. Bearded guy. Beards get it done. He came up with the blue chip ratio, which is just pretty smart. Like, you have to have a roster that is comprised 50% of 4-star, 5-star recruits. And you know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these teams left in the semifinals still above that blue chip ratio. Every national champion we've had in the college football playoff era has been above 50% in the blue chip ratio. So that means more than 50%, more than half their roster are 4- and 5-star guys out of high school. And that's tremendous, because there's only a select few among that. There's usually maybe like 16 teams that are above that threshold.
Are we talking that includes transfers, or that's the high school guys?
That includes transfers now.
Okay.
Since the portal became a bigger thing, when eligibility started being erased, so to speak, immediate eligibility started becoming a thing. So you look at these 4 semifinalists; they all meet the criteria. So we're going to have the stretch runs going to continue for the blue chip ratio, and my gosh, leading the pack is Ohio State. 90% of their roster is blue chips. Number 4, Texas. And then, by the way, and these rankings I'm putting out are where they rank in the blue chip ratio. All these teams in the top 11, by the way. Number 4, Texas, 72%. Number 9 is Notre Dame at 67%. And Penn State at number 11 at 61%. By the way, when it comes to just ranking these teams in the playoff rankings, very close to what their playoff ranking is, too, this blue chip ratio. So, again, numbers always seem to prove themselves out. Talent wins.
What would the BCS computer say about that?
Well, I say don't get me started on that, but I'm a big believer in the BCS computers now. So,
don't you have a copy of Death to the BCS around here somewhere?
Yeah, it might be behind us. Nope, it's on the other bookshelf.
Okay.
Sorry, Dan Wetzel. It's not up there, but yeah, there you go. It's the blue chip ratio. It's very, very, it's very important this time of year. I think that we don't talk enough about it, and a lot of people want to poo-poo numbers, but they'll seem to improve themselves. Any thoughts on that?
No, you did skip over something that I wanted to say about the transfer portal, though.
What's that, babe?
In my head, it's like there's just like a secure room with a computer in it. And these guys go in, and there's just a dusty old computer just straight running MS-DOS. And they type their name in. Do they have to tell anybody ahead of time?
Yeah. They got to go to their compliance office, their compliance officer, whatever you want to call them, and they have to, say I'm wanting to enter the portal, and they fill out their paperwork or whatever.
Oh, there's paperwork.
Yeah, I think so, technically. But it's pretty.
I imagined it to be very secretive. And then they go in there and punch their name in and hit enter in MS-DOS. And then it goes out like Oregon Trail, black and green screen style.
It's pretty
from the 90s.
The database, which I'm not saying I've ever seen, because reporters don't have access to it. Some people have leaked that information out to the media, obviously. And so when names hit the portal, a lot of outlets immediately report it because they got access to it, which they're not supposed to. In fact, the NCAA started cracking down on that. They started saying we're tracking IP addresses and everything. So what did the reporters do? They got VPNs.
Right.
And so that's how they get around it, so to speak. But still, they're looking at, well, why is this guy logging in this account from, Switzerland and also, Columbus, Ohio?
Well, to bounce around.
But, the portal's very important. Yeah. And there's so many players that enter. Every year we set a record. And this year, I think we're over 2,000 kids enter the portal in this month. That's since the end of the season. It's nuts.
In this particular window, because
Yes.
there's 2 windows.
Yeah, there's 2 windows. In this window, this winter window.
The winter window. Okay.
Yeah, winter's coming.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to the CFP here. I want to talk predictions. I'm so interested to hear what you actually have to say.
I really don't think you are.
We're going to start with the Orange Bowl, which is first Thursday night in Miami, of course. Hard Rock Stadium. It's a pretty nice, area. Traffic should be okay. It's actually not bad getting into this.
What's the weather going to be like?
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like a sports reporter. All I cared about traffic and when can I
How's
get
the
in
Marriott? How's the local Marriott?
Several, but I had to stay at a far away one last time. I don't know what I was supposed to go to the Orange Bowl, but we got it changed. I think my Marriott, the media Marriott, was pretty far away. Anyway, who cares?
Somebody might care.
Penn State, Notre Dame. All right, the latest line I've got from sportsline.com. Notre Dame by 2.5 points, and the over-under is 45.5. Wow, that's the same one you got. Where'd you get that from?
You.
How'd you get that from me? I didn't tell you anything.
Oh.
You look at my notes?
I did look at your notes.
Oh, that's right, because I typed them up.
What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine.
That's okay. All right. So, what are you thinking about this game? What do you like about it? What gives you hesitation?
Well, I don't really know what gives me hesitation because I'm here for the vibes. To be honest with you, I do like Notre Dame's defense.
Okay. Why is there a question mark at the end of that?
Because I don't really know what I'm saying.
Keep going.
Okay. I picked Notre Dame based on their defense, ?
Okay.
They're top 10 in the nation
Mm-hmm.
defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I kind of like them. Also, in my head, for some reason, I feel like I have a grudge against James Franklin.
Why?
From his time at Vanderbilt?
So why do you have a grudge against him being at Vanderbilt?
I don't know. But when I hear his name, I just kind of go, I don't really want to root for you.
Okay.
I don't know. Did he do something in a game with Arkansas?
Other than maybe beat them? I don't know. I don't think so.
Did Vanderbilt beat Arkansas?
I don't know
in the early 2010s?
Maybe. Probably not, because that was the
Probably
Petrino
not.
years, and Petrino was killing it. Can't remember.
Maybe there was a close call.
There's not many people out there that don't like James Franklin. So you're on that list, huh?
Well, maybe I take it back then. I don't know. Also, I like the Notre Dame uniforms and the colors.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I
Did
like
you know Notre Dame does not wear their names on the back of their jerseys during the season,
Okay.
but then once they get the bowl season, they do because
Was it
they've
like
they've earned it,
and
they look
I kinda like that.
really nice too.
I
Like
like
they've been
the
using
gold.
gold
Are they doing the
lettering
gold helmets
and the
too?
gold helmets, of
I like
course,
those.
the
Those are
golden
nice.
domers.
And also, what is a Nittany lion?
It's a lion that knits.
Maybe I'll change my pick. I do like the fiber arts.
Okay. All right. So what's your prediction?
Oh, I didn't come up with score predictions.
I don't need a
just
score
picked
prediction.
A winner.
All right. So you got
Notre
all right,
Dame.
Notre Dame. And so do you have Notre Dame covering the 2.5 points?
Sure.
Do you know what that means?
They have to score 3 points to cover.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have to score more than three
More than
three
three,
points than
Yeah.
okay, in a
Because
win.
you can't score a half a point. I know that.
That'd be great if you could.
They can't win by 2.
Although I'm sure the college football masterminds out there thinking of that up right now. Maybe we can create a new score system where they score half a point for doing this or doing that. That'd make college football better.
They do love a rule change.
Yeah, they do. They're like screwing up the sport. All right, so that's a good prediction, sweetheart.
Thanks.
I got Notre Dame as well, and I got them covering the spread. I love their defense. I especially love their back end. You like the back end? And the secondary, the secondary is very good, matches up very well against Penn State. Penn State doesn't like to push the ball down the field very often. Drew Aller at quarterback has made some big throws here this postseason, but not someone who's typically able to do that from game to game or even for that matter, quarter to quarter. Penn State's going to have to run the ball effectively against Notre Dame to have a shot in this one, which I think they're going to be able to do because if there's a weak spot on Notre Dame's defense, it's maybe the rush defense, but it's still pretty stellar. I think of all the teams still left in the field, Notre Dame's got the best defense out of everybody in my eyes, from everybody I've seen in person. So I've got Notre Dame beating Penn State and going to the national championship game. And I don't know what the score would be, but I got them covering too. So
Do you take the over or the under?
That's a good question. What did I say the over under was? 45 and a half? Under.
Under.
Yeah.
Under.
I could see this being a lower scoring game and it being something like 21-14 or 21-13 even. To, something like that's in the mid 30s or even something along those lines. I think Penn State's got some confidence offensively here the last couple of weeks. They finally seem to get things clicking, but they haven't played a defense as well as good as this Notre Dame defense lately. So we'll see. All right. Then we go to the Cotton Bowl, snowy Arlington, Texas, Jerry World, Jerry Jones.
I've never been to Jerry World.
You never been there?
Never been to Jerry World.
Well, you probably missed your chance because Arkansas is going to stop playing there.
Out. Yeah.
They play Texas A&M there every year, but that's going away to be a home and home. So this game in Jerry World, snow outside. Jerry Jones may be giving acting lessons outside after his appearance on Landman. What do you think of that?
I thought he did a great job.
I did too. He's like about to cry.
He did. Yeah, I thought it was great. I really liked it.
Yeah, he was talking about his family on there. So anyway, go check that out on Paramount Plus. So despite the weather, they're going to play this game. I don't see them postponing or anything like that. Texas, Ohio State, two of the biggest name brands of all of college football. And Ohio State's just freaking rolling offensively right now. They can score at will. They've got the best player, I think, in college football right now, in Jeremiah Smith, and he's only a freaking freshman at receiver. So what do you like? What do you dislike about this game?
I don't really like anything about this game. I do not like Texas.
Okay.
That's the way I was raised. I have long-standing beef with Ohio State. Can you guess why?
No clue.
Think really hard.
Sugar Bowl 2011?
Sugar Bowl 2000. Yeah, 2010 season played in 2011.
Yeah. Oh, is that okay? So yeah, Arkansas played him in that game, if I recall.
Tight game too.
Well, I thought you were talking about
overtime. I think.
Stuff.
Well,
Ohio State was going through, I think, Tattoo Gate at the time, and they had some players
received some
free ink. Ooh. And I remember Bobby Petrino even saying, like, no, we want them to play. Don't suspend them. We want our best against their best. Well, they did that, and Ohio State jumped out early, but then Arkansas battled back, had a chance there late, and they threw an interception.
Like 31-26 or something. I can't remember. It was
something like that. Yeah. I was at that game. I was seated up way high by myself. It was very depressing. I remember the very first play of that game, Arkansas had on offense. They threw a ball down the middle, would have been an easy touchdown, and missed them. And could have jumped out early, but then Ohio State took over and jumped out early, and Arkansas was playing from behind the entire time. So that's the only reason why they hate Ohio State?
One thing about me, I hold a grudge.
Okay.
I hold a grudge.
All right.
They vacated the win from Ohio State and did not give it to Arkansas, and I do not like that.
Yeah, it's just the way
I don't care.
Record books
I do not care. I do not care.
Okay, so Texas. You just don't like them.
Yeah.
Explain why to the viewers and the listeners. They don't know your brain. They don't know why.
Southwest Conference. Rivals, Southwest Conference.
Okay. She's, all Arkansas.
Yeah.
If you can't figure it out right now. All right. So Ohio State is favored by 6, according to the line I saw recently. What do you think?
I mean, that's probably accurate.
So you think Ohio State's only going to win by like 6 or 7?
Oh, no. I mean, they're probably going to win. I'm just not going to pick them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick Texas?
For personal reasons, yes.
Wow. You hate Ohio State more than you hate Texas.
I hate winning, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Because I'm just so salty about that Sugar Bowl.
Really?
Yeah.
Even after all the years with Texas, and then Texas beat Arkansas's ass this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Because how many times do we get to go, as an Arkansas fan, to a big bowl game?
Not often, and maybe never again.
How often do we get our ass kicked?
Every year?
Every year. So what has more weight to it? Losing the Sugar Bowl? Or just losing a regular season?
I don't know.
And an decades-old rivalry that those fans don't care about.
Okay. All right. So you got Texas.
See what I'm going with?
You got Texas winning straight up and obviously covering the spread. What about the over-under, 53.5?
I'll take the over.
Really? Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Fine. Well,
you asked for my opinion.
Sounds good, sweetheart. Ohio State, big in this one. I got them winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns. They're rolling offensively. Texas looks just absolutely scattered across the field at times. I don't understand their game plan in games when they pull away a little bit. They let Arizona State back into the game. They've been shaky all year. I don't know if it's the players or it's the coaching. I'm leaning toward the coaching because it's obvious that they're changing things schematically, offensively in games. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas gets up early in this game and then just absolutely just poops their britches and ends up just getting stomped in the second half, and maybe even, and I think it's just not going to be close. And as far as the over under 53.5, I'm going to stay under because this could end up being like a 31-13 game or 31-14 type game.
That's what you said about the last game. We got to have a
No. That wasn't. I had that one like 21-14.
21. Okay.
13. Okay, this is like 31. That's an extra 10 points.
Okay, pardon me. Sorry.
All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever. So is that's all you think?
That's all I think. And I made those picks because I don't want a Penn State, Ohio State matchup. Big Ten. Yeah. Don't want that.
I think we'll get Notre Dame, Ohio State.
You're probably right.
And it'll be a great defense against a great offense.
Can you explain to me why Notre Dame doesn't belong to a conference?
It's more or less tradition, though they belong in a conference in most sports, usually the ACC.
Okay.
And they've just chosen to be independent football-wise because it's their identity, it's their tradition, and they also make a lot of money doing it because they are a name brand. They're able to sign.
Not beholden to anybody else.
I mean, they've been signed with NBC for 30-something years now, and they are the exclusive broadcast partner for their games, for home games. They get paid a lot of money for it. They don't have to share it with anybody, and they still have some voting power in the college football playoff. I mean, the college football playoff managers are consisted of the 10 FBS commissioners for every conference and the athletics director for Notre Dame. So it's like all these guys and then just the athletics director for Notre Dame. You probably don't want to give that up, though.
So can they not be pressured to
join a conference?
Yeah.
If hey, that's possible. There's been some talk about that. And hey, do you want to participate in the CFP? You need to be in a conference. You got to be in a conference. You have to play conference
games. Who would
games.
Make that the committee?
Well, those people, but Notre Dame's also on it, and they're not going to try and upset the apple cart with doing that unless it just becomes end days and are like, we want Notre Dame real bad. Yeah. So the SEC or Big Ten's going after them or whatever, and this is the way to do it.
What stops other schools from seceding from their conference and doing their own independent thing?
Some have, and some are independent still, but most of them are now joining conferences once again. UMass, for example, has been independent. They're about to go to the MAC next year or the year after. UConn is, I think, still independent football-wise, and they're probably about to join a conference. They've been trying to join the Big 12, but their football product's kind of fallen behind the last 5-6 years since they made, I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, a big-time bowl game. They've kind of fallen on hard times. And there was some talk about doing some reporting on that about UConn wanting in the Big 12, but they needed to show some commitment to football. So putting more money into it, building facilities, and also just improving the football product. So they're giving them a transition time, the next 6 years to figure that out and then accept their other sports like basketball, which is obviously a national title contender almost every year anyway. And then kind of wait for football to work itself out in the next 6 years and let football join. So we're exiting the days of there being several independent programs. I think even New Mexico State was an independent up until recently.
I didn't know this was such a thing.
But Notre Dame can do it because it is what it is. And, in this new CFP, the way it's set up, Notre Dame can never have a first round bye because they're not part of a conference. The only right now as it stands, conference champions, the 4 highest rated conference champions in the playoff rankings are guaranteed a first round bye. So Notre Dame's can't win a conference, so they can't get a first round bye. But now there's talk about changing that here in a year or two because the seeding this year was not great, and it provided us some really kind of blowout games and crappy games. And so people, including me, but my voice doesn't matter, but people that matter in the industry, from talking to people, they're pushing to where we just say, hey, when you rank them 1 through 12, it's the 4 highest ranked people. Doesn't matter if they won their conference or not. So if that happened, you could see a Notre Dame get a first round bye in the future. So we'll see. That's stuff to crack in the off season. Okay. So enough football talk. I'm going to just turn it over to you. What the hell you want to talk about?
I don't know.
What are you calling this? Amanda wants to. This is Amanda's segment.
You wanted me to have a segment. Let's be clear.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm catching you off guard with all this. I want to bounce
very
stuff
off guard. No idea what I'm talking about. So let's talk about the things that I'm interested in right now.
Are you calling this First and Tea?
First and Tea.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Do you like it?
Let's go.
You don't care. Here's what I'm reading right now. Fellas out there listening, you ladies like to read. Fourth Wing. What have you heard about Fourth Wing?
I've seen you read it. I think you've read it 15 times.
False.
It's about dragons.
Correct. I love it. I'm eating it up. I listened to the dramatized audio. Okay.
Do the dragons speak?
They do. Mind to mind.
Of course they do. Oh.
Yes. Only to their bonded riders and to each other.
So like Avatar?
I saw that once when it first came out. So you're going to have to catch me up on what happens.
They stick their hair ponytail into the other thing's ponytail.
That does not happen in Fourth Wing. No. But I mean, they do.
So telepathically they speak.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Mind to mind. And it's kind of a dystopian, political situation, war college. The main character's mom is the general of the war college. It's very good.
So it's like the Terminator, but in the future war.
Look me directly in my eyes right now and decide if you think I know much about Terminator. Quickly.
You should.
Quickly.
You've seen Terminator 2. We finally watched that.
Is that the one where he melts at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have seen that one.
Made me cry.
Yeah, you did.
Gave you a little thumbs up.
I cried at Fourth Wing.
Okay, so they're dragons, and it's a dystopian future. There's a war going on.
I don't know if it's future.
A mom is a general.
Yeah, it's very good.
And this is a series of books, I'm guessing?
So the first two books are out, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. The third one is coming out on January 21st, Onyx Storm.
So Fourth Wing's the first one?
Yes.
So why is it not the fourth one?
I'm not Rebecca Yarros, so I don't know.
Is there a third wing?
There's a third wing.
Okay. Is there a West Wing?
No, but can we watch that? I'd like to watch that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Aaron Sorkin makes my brain hurt sometimes.
Okay.
So what?
Segue.
So what else? That's it? It's a dragon book.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had any questions about me reading about dragons.
Why
I really talked to you about
why
are
there so many freaking books for it?
Well, because people get hooked on series, and America loves capitalism.
Are they?
So
Are they going to adapt
money.
it into a movie?
There have been discussions about a TV series.
How old are the books? Is a book series?
The first book came out just a year or two ago.
The first book was just released a year ago.
Year or two ago. I don't know.
So
my first read of this was in December.
All right, so
I'm on my first reread now.
Ladies like you like this?
Some of them do.
Is there
category?
Is there humping and bumping going on in it?
There's little shenanigans happening.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. You made me lose my train of thought.
Whatever. Next.
Love is Blind.
Oh yeah, that's my stuff.
Love is Blind season 7.
Yeah, we're on season 7, so we're behind.
Season 7?
Season 8 starts like soon.
Is that February 14th? Is that what they're
Something
talking about?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. I love trash TV.
Trash is good.
Love trash TV. Anything on TLC is great.
No. Only if it's Big Ed and
he's local to us.
Yeah, in fact, we live in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, and I saw a sticker of his head on
a gas pump or something
on the luggage carousel at XNA, the airport.
Nice.
Sitting there. Big Ed, by the way, reality TV star on TLC.
90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, he's kind of like got no neck. What's that thing called? What's that disease called? Birth defect?
I don't know. He's got some kind of
I'm not making fun of him or anything like that. It's just
he identifies himself as Big Ed and kind of makes
just trying to let people know who he is. He's been to Arkansas games and stuff. Yeah.
He also doesn't seem to be a very nice person.
Really?
Well, I mean, you watched the show, did you not?
Well, I guess, but it's reality TV. You never know what's real.
Yeah, that's true. I'm listening, or just finished listening to Ina Garten her memoir, Be Ready When the Luck Happens. Do you know who Ina Garten is?
I really don't.
You want to hazard a guess?
Should I know?
Just guess.
What's the name? Ina Garten?
Ina Garten is her name.
She's
the memoir is Be Ready When the Luck Happens.
She's a poet.
She's not a poet.
she's a sex therapist.
She's not a sex.
Then who is she?
She's a Food Network chef, one of the best ones. She's amazing. Ina and Jeffrey. She owned a store in the Hamptons called Barefoot Contessa. She used to work in the White House on nuclear budgets.
What?
Yes. Wild turn of events for Ina. But yeah, she's amazing.
Well, anybody can work in government, I guess.
She's actually very bright. People make fun of Ina and her cooking show because she'll say things like, I'm
Is this the mozzarella woman?
No, that's if you hadn't said it, I could have come up with her name.
Okay. There's a woman who really stresses her Italian accent when she says things like mozzarella. Parmigiana.
Mozzarella. No, Ina bought a store called Barefoot Contessa in the Hamptons and made it her whole identity. That was her show on Food Network. It was called.
So she's well off to be opening up a place in the Hamptons.
At the time, actually, no, not really.
Okay, and then how'd she do it?
Well, it was a different time back then. It was the 80s. You could buy a house for $20,000.
Sure. Yeah.
With no credit. Credit didn't even exist back then.
Yeah, you didn't have credit scores back then.
Yeah. Yeah, Ina's great. She's amazing.
Okay. So you're listening to her memoir.
I just finished it. I gave it a 3.5, 3.75 out of 5 stars. It's pretty good.
Cool.
She narrates it, so I always enjoy that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I burped. Next, what's up? Keep it moving.
Well, I don't really think you care anything about my books, so.
Your books?
My books that I like.
You're a writer?
Maybe one of these days.
Oh boy, we don't need another writer in the family.
Got enough ego in this house.
I don't know if I'm a writer, more or less a scribbler. Yeah. So what do you think I do for a living?
I know what you do for a living.
But what do you think I do?
I mean, I see you do it every day. You write, you talk to people, you talk to sources all the time. You fact check excessively, and then you fact check your fact checking.
Mm-hmm. If your mother says she loves you, check your sources.
True.
Yep. Yeah. That's great.
And you're great at your job.
Well, thank you. That's what I was looking for. You're great at your job too. It's funny.
What do you think I do?
It's funny. It's funny. I grew up, actually Amanda grew up wanting to be a sports reporter, and I grew up wanting to be a housewife.
Where are you going?
Still have the dress. So, no, I don't. Only worn a dress once.
Tell the people, they want to know.
That was Halloween once. I was a teenager.
My gosh.
Do dumb things back then. Okay. Well, that's basic AF. Basic as football. I'm Brandon. That's Amanda. Maybe we'll do it again. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm thinking about shaving my beard and just doing mustache.
No, you're not. No, he's not.